Right, we're now going to finish up the bag by attaching the cords. And you are going to attach the cords at the start. Or to start with, you're going to attach them at the base of the bag. And you're going to attach them 4 centimetres each side of the centre seam that's running all the way down the bag. I had a slight mishap at the beginning of my bag work. So my seam is a little wonky at the bottom. So what I've done is I've just laid a ruler along the line of the seam, and that is the point where my seam ought to be. Can you see like a little, it's gone a little bit squiffy, but so don't worry, I can fix that. So that's where my sort of centre point ought to be. So I'm going to measure 4 centimetres, 1, 2, 3 and 4, either side of that point. There's one. And where's my other pin? I've got another pin. And 1, 2, 3, 4 the other side. And before I go any further, I want to show you something. Oh, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. I need to calm down. There we go. Right, so that centre point, if you follow that centre point straight up, i.e. not along the line of this seam, but straight up, you will see sitting directly above it is an eyelet, and that's going to be used later. So just hold that in your head. Right, so I'm going to take that out for now because I know where that is. These are the points that I'm going to put the cords into the bag. Now at the base, I'm going to thread the end that has no knot in it of each cord. I've got 2 of them. So each one of those is going to go in at those points that I've marked. And to do that, to make it easy, I'm going to use my hook. I'm going to put my hook in down to the base at the point that I've marked. Take that pin out now. Just grab the end of the cord and pull that through. I'm pulling it through. You can see that it's there. It doesn't need to go that far out, but it's just safely in the bag. And I'm going to do the same with the other one, in the other point that I've marked. Hook's coming through the base, pick up the cord and pull it safely into the bag. So if I pull both of these, you'll see that they're both threaded into the base and they're coming all the way through the bag. And to secure that, I'm just going to tie a nice big chunky knot in those ends there to keep them from coming out again. Okay, don't make the knot too close to the end, but give yourself enough of enough that you don't sort of lose too much of the length of that cord. So when I pull these, that's secure, that's not going anywhere. Okay, so now I'm going to take the other ends, which are the knotted ends from when we made them, and I'm going to thread them through that eyelet that sat right above the centre point of the bag. And I'm going to push those through. Just like so. So we're now going to thread each of the cords in opposite directions around the bag. And if you look at this, you will see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 eyelets to the left of the centre, and 1, 2, 3 and 4 eyelets to the right of the centre. So we're going to do 1 in one direction and 1 in the other direction. Let me just make sure I've got the right ones. Yes, so they're not twisted at the bottom. So all I'm going to do is sort of feed them in and out of these eyelets. So I've come out from the back through to the front, and then through to the back again, front, and into the back. I think that puts me in the centre point. It does. So I'm going to do just leave that there like that and go the opposite way with the other. Okay, so we've done the same. I've done one going in one direction, in and out, one coming the other way, in and out, and then meeting in the middle. Okay, and I'm going to knot those two ends together. Now I'm going to knot them fairly loosely to start with, because what I want to do is just check that I'm happy with the length of the cords, because obviously it depends how you want to wear the bag or use the bag as to how long you want those cords to be. So if you want them to be shorter, you can make the knot sort of further down the cord. And I'm just pulling it. What I'm doing here is just pulling it. You can't really see. Pulling it to make sure they are the same length, and they are, so that's good. I think that's a good length. If I pull, look at that, lovely. If I pull that shut, I'm happy with the length of those cords. If I wasn't, like I said, I could make that a little longer. I'm going to leave that like that for now. I quite like it, sort of a little tassely like that. And also, if I leave it and don't cut it or anything, it gives me a little bit more options if I want to alter the length of it, if this sort of stretches with use or anything like that. So I'm happy with that for now. So that is attaching the cords. We're going to finish now by bringing into play, do you remember our little tension piece that we made right at the beginning? If you haven't made it, nip off, make it, and I'll meet you back here in a minute. Right, so here's my little tension piece. I've just sewn the ends in. If you've left the ends long, don't sew them in, because you can use a bit of it to do what we're about to do, okay? But I've sewn mine in keeping with making horrendous mistakes all the way through this project. Right, so if you have sewn the ends in that I have, just cut yourself a decent length of cream yarn and thread your darning needle or bodkin. Because what we're going to do is we're going to stitch, let me just sort of mop it up, stitch that like that, encasing one of those cords in each side of that little piece, so it will create like the little toggle thing. It's so clever, isn't it clever? I love it. What you could do if you wanted is stitch it together first, turn it around and then go down the middle, but that sounds like an awful lot of extra work to me, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go down half at a time, because my stitching skills, whilst simultaneously not being able to see what I'm doing due to camera equipment, are not great. So I'm just going to start off as I normally would, with a sort of I don't know what you'd call it. I know what my sewing teacher would call it, and it's not something I'm prepared to say on camera. There we are. Right, so I've secured the yarn like so, and I'm going to just do a little sort of running stitch, I would suggest, down this. Now the great thing is about crochet, there's many great things, but one of the very great things is, if like I am, if you've got a sew in it, and like me, you can hardly really see this, can you, because of the light. But even if I bring it up here, this is what I'm about to tell you, it will hide your stitches anyway, so don't be too worried if you're needly challenged. So I'm just going to back stitch a bit. That's what it is, not running stitch, see? Don't take any notice of me. This is not a sewing video, it's a crochet video. But I'm going to just back stitch down there. Being careful not to catch the actual cord, because if I sew that in place you won't be able to move it. Watch me not, but yeah, see, it'll still move. Could you hear the relief there in my voice? Right, so I've done that on one side and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just fold that in to the centre and make that running stitch, but this time I'm going to go from the bottom, not running stitch, I've said it again, back stitch. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top this time. Again, being careful, just sort of overlapping that slightly, but being careful not to catch either cord in there. Clearly can't talk and sew, can I? Being careful not to catch either cord with my needle as I work up there. So what this is doing, it's having a dual effect of closing this little piece over and encasing the cords within. Now it's already secure, but we'll just do that. Trim those ends. Turn that back over, and now look at that, I've got a little toggle. That's so lovely. And that, my lovely friends, is your duffel bag complete.